Hello and welcome to today's webcast with Gapwaves, where CEO Jonas Ehinger and Head of Project Management Oskar Ek will present the third quarter of 2023. And with that said, I hand over the word to you, Jonas.
Thank you, Ludwig, and thank you to all the viewers for spending time with us today. We'll have a short presentation on the Q3 report and also go into further depth with some of the major developments during the quarter. But for those of you who are new to Gapwaves, let me provide a short summary. And Gapwaves was formed at Chalmers University of Technology here in Gothenburg in 2011. And it was based upon research conducted by Professor Per-Simon Kildal. And he also developed a number of patents which served as the base for Gapwaves and still is a strong focus for Gapwaves. Our technologies have a strong patent protection. We're focusing on waveguide antennas and antenna solutions for 4D imaging radars. Nowadays, Gapwaves has established an automotive supply chain. We will talk more about that later in the presentation. Gapwaves went public and was listed on the Nasdaq First North market in 2016. We're headquartered in Gothenburg, and we're currently around 40 employees plus some consultants. So let's go into the quarter and some of the significant events that happened. Of course, a very important event was the introduction of a new patented Gapwaves waveguide technology, the multi-layer waveguide. And Oskar will help me present this in more detail later in the presentation. We also announced a collaboration with NXP Semiconductors, and we also reported new orders for development of antennas, both from an undisclosed tier 1 that we have been having a collaboration with for some time that is now moving forward, and also a new order from Hella, which is our partner since 2021. Looking at the financials, we had lower sales compared to Q3 last year. However, Q3 last year had quite a bit of extraordinary revenue, such as upfront licensing fee from Bosch as we entered into the contract in Q3 2022. We also, as you can see on the graph to your left, we also had quite a bit of other types of extraordinary revenue, such as sales of production equipment, which will not happen every quarter. But over time, you can see that our quarters vary quite a bit, and naturally, they vary as we add new partners and new licensing agreements to our business and revenue. In addition to this, we've also reported that we've seen a slowdown during the year in the tech segment, or the segment that is part of what we call the mobility market segment. We are still investing in Gapwaves industrialization because we have a number of agreements, and to be able to deliver according to those agreements and supply antennas, we also have to qualify ourselves as a supplier in the automotive industry. And that means setting up both production capability and capacity and adding competence to the organization, as well as capability to handle the development efforts that we're contracted for by automotive tier 1s. Our net sales ended up with 7 million versus 31 last year, same period. The EBITDA was 9.6 million, and we report an adjusted EBITDA due to the effect from associated companies such as Metasum and Sensrad. Our cash position by the end of quarter is quite strong at 103.5 million. And as I mentioned, we are growing in terms of number of employees. So we're currently 36 plus consultants. And now I would like to move into a very important product introduction for us during the quarter, which we have high expectations from going forward. Oskar Ek, who is head of our project office at Gapwaves, will describe this new technology for us.
Thank you, Jonas. So one of the key events for the third quarter was the unveiling of our new multi-layer waveguide technology. This is a new way of realizing our gap waveguide IP, completely made of metal sheets. It's a patented design and manufacturing concept, which is really pushing the boundaries for waveguide antennas, especially regarding size. It's already been validated by a leading tier 1 customer, and we are now launching it to all tier 1s in the markets. So we would like to go through a little bit different types of waveguide. So to the left in this slide, you see a typical waveguide as produced by our customer or competitors. They are thick, bulky, and also very sensitive to assembly tolerances. And therefore, it's require lots of complex manufacturing and high precision assembly processes with additional steps such as soldering. In the middle, you see our typical injection molded waveguide antennas. And these antennas have the gap waveguide advantages of relaxed tolerances, which enable a simple, robust, and cost-effective manufacturing. To the right, you see the latest edition of the mmWave, and this is now the thinnest available waveguide antenna in the market. It also has the advantage of our gap waveguide technology to make simple and robust production. As it also made of metal sheets, it also enables us to do rapid prototyping and fast process production with well-known and proven processes such as stamping, etching, or laser cutting. The metal sheet also provides improved thermal and EMC capabilities. And as we know that the number of chipsets and output power in the radar sensor increase, cooling is one thing that becomes even more important. And with close collaboration with our customers and the tier 1s, we believe we can make the high performance and cost-effective radar solutions with the mmWave antenna.
Thank you, Oskar. I also would like to add that the interest from the automotive customers during the launch was quite big, and we have a lot of follow-up to do on that interest. But it was generally received very positive from the launch. Oskar, we also had other news regarding a new partner for Gapwaves. Could you elaborate a bit?
Yes, so we announced the collaboration partner with NXP Semiconductor, one of the leading chipset suppliers to the radar markets. A close collaboration with the chip suppliers is very important for us, since we see that their new chipsets with the launcher in the package, so on the chip, together with waveguide antenna, is becoming the technology standard for upcoming sensors. So with these demo projects, we get an opportunity to make sure we have a high performance solution together with their chipsets, and also we can leverage from their discussion with tier 1s and potential customers.
Thank you, Oskar. I'd like to turn over to another topic which we often get questions about, and that's about timelines in our contracts and our partnerships with customers. And we've summarized the current status in this slide and in a table. I think if you look at the column that states SOP, it discloses the timelines. We have communicated this before with few exceptions. And the table also shows which technology, injection molder, IMW, is the plastic parts based type of waveguide antenna. and mmWave is, as you heard, our new technology. So we already have partners for the new technology. In terms of timelines, next year will be a very important year for us, obviously, since some of the first antenna products that we have developed will go into production and then ramping up into high volumes. And you can also see the timelines for newer agreements, such as the one with Bosch, and also the expected timeline for the undisclosed tier one, as well as for Sensrad. As we have communicated before, Sensrad is planning to launch their commercial product in 2024, which assumes, obviously, production of antennas. Also, take a look at the far right column, which says revenue model. And here you can see also Gapwaves' journey in the automotive segment, how we have moved from royalty and license-based only agreements into development and then supply of antennas that we have developed. And that's our preferred position, to be not only the technology provider or licensing party to our customers. We also want to design and develop, industrialize, and then supply the antennas to our customers. And since Oscar is with us today, I'd like to share some examples of how customer engagements can look like. And we'll use the Hella business case as a basis for this. Please, Oscar, can you elaborate a bit on this slide and our collaboration with Hella?
Yes, so in the bottom you see the 6th generation, which is the first Hella sensor with a waveguide antenna, where we have done the design of the antenna. That is now in pre-production and ramp up with an SOP in 2024. Since 2022, we've been also working with the 7th generation, making some prototype antennas to support Hella in pre-development and also in OEM acquisitions. We're now moving into a more mature state of antenna design to accommodate their SOP in 2026. And then just recently, we also started discussions with Hella regarding generation 8, where we see even more high capability sensors such as HRR and imaging radars moving forward. This slide also clearly shows the trend of the radar market. It's expanding, and we see more types of radars from these typical customers.
Another question is, obviously, when will we see Gapwaves products in cars? So since development is completed of Gen 6 antenna, when would you say that we would see that antenna in radar sensors that are in cars?
Yeah, so the SOP for the OEM is in the end of 2024, so there will be vehicles on the road in 2025 with our antenna inside. That's the first of 2 OEM that Hella have for this 6th generation's radar.
Thank you, Oscar. And this slide also summarizes the business model over time, or the business and revenue generation over time. Upfront, there's typically a license fee, and then NRE, or development and engineering services. There's prototypes that are being produced and shipped to the customer that are also being invoiced, of course. And we also develop specific production equipment for that production line that relates to a specific customer. And then as production starts, it will generate royalties in the case of Hella. In newer agreements, of course, we will be the supplier of the antenna. So the customer buys the antenna from Gapwaves, and we oversee production both in the industrialization phase as well as in the volume phase, and supply the antennas to the customer. And going forward, our supplier position in the value chain is very important, and that's our default position. But it doesn't exclude that we'll generate revenues early on in the contracts. As you can see, the contracts are very long. The volume phase of a automotive tier 1 radar antenna is likely to be between 6 and 8 years. And to get to the production is typically a time period of 3 to 5 years. Moving forward, I'd like to spend a couple of minutes looking ahead, what's happening down the road or in the future for Gapwaves. And the basis for that is a new strategic initiative that Gapwaves launched during the spring, and that has now started to be executed. And we will expand our business area of antennas. So our antenna business will grow. We are striving to add more tier 1 customers to the Gapwaves partnerships. And we're of course striving to deliver the contracts that we already have entered into. And that's really important for Gapwaves to invest now in the industrialization, so we can qualify as a fully fledged and certified automotive supplier or supplier in the automotive industry. In addition to that, we're also adding a new business area or a new market segment, and that's radar sensors for applications outside the automotive industry. So these are very highly performing radar sensors that can cater to market segments outside of automotive, or at least where automotive is today and over the coming few years. We have communicated before that our strategy is to move and migrate in the value chain position to target these market segments. And the first step was really taken with our investment in Sensrad in the spring, where we have an option to acquire a majority stake during next year. And Sensrad is already on the market. It has provided a large number of prototypes, and it will launch its commercial version of the product by the end of the year. And of course, with the Gapwaves waveguide antenna. And as you saw in previous slides, this will be based on the new antenna technology as well. We have perceived Sensrad and the market segments that Sensrad caters to as a clear market opportunity. In fact, we've even heard this from some of our customers that we've been working with over the years for antenna projects. And it seems like these market segments are moving faster than automotive, and they prefer an off-the-shelf radar sensor solution with the performance that they need to develop their applications and services. So in this slide, you can see some of the potential application areas and end customers. We divide it into two areas. One is autonomous vehicles and mobility. That could mean anything as you see on the slide, like off-road and heavy-duty, last-mile delivery or material handling in confined areas, etc. And another interesting segment, or very interesting segment, is the infrastructure or smart city area, where it can have presence detection or it can serve as surveillance in sensitive infrastructure like power stations or airports, harbors, etc. So we are looking forward very much to the commercial development of Sensrad, and we have high expectations for Sensrad going forward. We will also include Sensrad more in our communication to the market going forward. And finally, let me say thank you for spending the time watching our Q3 webcast today. Let me highlight a few of the investor communication activities that we have available and that will be available as we conduct them. Especially, I'd like to point out the live Q&A session November 9th, where you have the opportunity to address Gapwaves, myself and the management with your questions that you have after reading our reports or watching our other activities. I'm very much looking forward to seeing you there and receiving your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.